I'm Captain Angela Trent, 30 years old, and I built my career from nothing but discipline, long hours, and a uniform I earned. For years, I held my family together, covering for my sister, supporting her through every mess, and trusting the people closest to me. But when my own sister stole my fiancé and sent me a front-row invitation to their wedding, I made a decision that changed everything. Ever been dismissed, betrayed, or blindsided by someone you would have done anything for? If you have, tell me in the comments. You're not the only one. Before I get into what really happened, let me know where you're watching from. And if you've ever had to stand up for yourself after someone crossed the line, hit like and subscribe. What came next even I didn't see coming. I stand at the window of my off-base apartment, watching the sun cut through the Colorado sky in clean, sharp lines. The kind of morning that used to mean something coffee with Mark before he headed to work, planning our weekend, the ordinary rhythm of two lives moving in the same direction. That was 3 months ago. Before the deployment. Before I came back to find my entire life rearranged by people I'd trusted most. I'm Captain Angela Trent, Air Force 03, 29 years old, and I lead a flight of junior officers who depend on me to make decisions under pressure. I brief colonels. I evaluate readiness reports. I sign off on performance reviews that determine careers. But none of that training prepared me for the particular kind of warfare that happens in your own living room. The first sign came 2 weeks after I returned from a temporary duty assignment in Qatar. Mark's texts had grown shorter during my absence, normal enough when you're managing different time zones. But when I got home, the distance didn't close. He'd look at his phone during dinner, smile at something I couldn't see, then set it face down on the table. Little gestures that meant nothing individually. Together, they formed a pattern. Long day? I'd ask. Yeah, you know how it is. Except I didn't, because he stopped telling me. My sister Emily started showing up more often. She'd always been the social one, the one who could walk into any room and own it within minutes. Where I'd chosen structure and service, Emily had chosen flexibility. A series of jobs that never quite stuck, relationships that burned bright and fast, a life that looked exciting from the outside and chaotic from within. I'd always been the one to help her reset. Co-signing her lease when her credit wasn't enough. Lending her money she'd forget to repay. Listening to her talk about men who didn't appreciate her. "You're always working," she said one evening, curled up on my couch while I responded to emails at the dining table. Mark sat beside her, laughing at something on her phone. "Don't you ever just relax?" "Some of us have responsibilities," I said, keeping my tone light. "Some of us know how to live," she shot back, still smiling. Mark laughed harder. I closed my laptop and excused myself to change for my run. 6 miles in formation, no music, just breathing and footfall and the discipline that had carried me through ROTC, commissioning, my first duty station, and every challenge since. When I came back, they were sitting closer together. Not touching, but close enough that the space between them felt deliberate. The family barbecue happened 3 weeks after my return. My father grilled burgers while my mother fussed over potato salad, and Emily arrived wearing a sundress that looked effortless, but probably took an hour to style. She made a show of hugging Mark before she hugged me. Sat beside him while I helped my father with the grill. Touched his arm when she laughed. I watched my mother notice. Watched her say nothing. "She's always been like that," my father said quietly, flipping a burger. Retired Army E6, 22 years of service, and he knew how to read a tactical situation. Needs to be the center. I know. I'd spent my whole childhood knowing. Mark canceled our date night the following week. "Too tired," he said. But Emily posted photos from a bar downtown that same evening, and there he was in the background, drink in hand, very much not tired. I didn't confront him. I filed it away, the way you file intelligence reports, documented, dated, waiting for more data to establish clear intent. The jokes started after that. Little comments about my schedule, my uniform, the fact that I couldn't just drop everything and be spontaneous. Mark delivered them with a smile, the kind that's supposed to signal affection, but lands somewhere closer to criticism. "Emily's more fun," he said one night, scrolling through his phone. "She doesn't live by a checklist." I was folding laundry. Dress uniforms, PT gear, the endless cycle of maintaining standards. Emily doesn't have a security clearance or a chain of command. Exactly. She's normal. I set down the shirt I was folding and looked at him. Really looked. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Are we okay? I asked. We're fine, he said. I'm just tired. He was always tired now. Too tired for dinner, too tired to talk, too tired for the life we'd been building for 3 years. But he had energy for late-night texts that made him smile in the dark. Had energy for inside jokes I wasn't part of. Had energy for my sister. I started spending more time on base. Extra hours reviewing training schedules, mentoring lieutenants fresh out of their commissioning sources, volunteering for additional duties that kept my mind occupied and my purpose clear. My commander noticed. You okay, Trent? Yes, sir. Just focused. He nodded, didn't push. Good officers know when to give space. Emily called me on a Tuesday night, late enough that I was already in bed but not yet asleep. You know he deserves someone who understands him, right? I sat up, phone pressed to my ear, processing the words like a threat assessment. What? Mark. He deserves someone who's actually present. Someone who prioritizes him. And you think that's you? She laughed, light and easy. I think he's already figured that out. She hung up before I could respond. I stared at the phone for a long time, watching the screen go dark, feeling something shift in my chest. Not heartbreak yet. Just recognition. The confirmation of intelligence I'd been gathering for weeks. Mark came home after midnight. I was still awake. Where were you? Out with friends. Which friends? Does it matter? He sounded annoyed, defensive in that way guilty people get when they're not ready to admit what they've done. It matters to me. He sighed, dropped his keys on the counter. I can't do this right now. Do what? This. You. The interrogation. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't move from the bed. Just watched him avoid my gaze while everything I'd built with him over 3 years cracked down the center. If there's something you need to tell me, I said, now would be the time. There's nothing to tell. But there was. I could see it in every line of his body, every calculated word. There was everything to tell, and he was choosing not to. Choosing her instead. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay in the dark running through scenarios, contingencies, the possible outcomes of a situation spiraling beyond my control. By 0400 hours, I'd made my decision. I would wait. Gather evidence. Let them reveal themselves fully before I acted. Because in my line of work, you don't engage until you have clear confirmation of hostile intent. And I was about to get exactly that. I come home early from a drill weekend. The house is quiet in a way that feels wrong, not empty, but holding its breath. 2 wine glasses sit in the sink, still wet. A woman's jacket I don't recognize draped over the chair. I set my deployment bag down carefully, quietly, and listen. Voices from the bedroom. Low. Familiar. I know before I walk down the hallway what I'm going to find, but knowing doesn't make the confirmation any easier. Mark sees me first. His face does something complicated, shock, then guilt, then an attempt at defensiveness that doesn't quite land. He's sitting on the edge of the bed, fully clothed, but the rumpled sheets tell their own story. Angela. You're back early. I don't answer. I'm looking at Emily, who's wearing Mark's Air Force Academy sweatshirt, the one I bought him 2 Christmases ago. She's not startled. Doesn't scramble for excuses. Just looks at me with something close to satisfaction. Hey sis, she says. I feel my training kick in. The calm that comes from years of high-pressure situations, from learning to compartmentalize emotion and focus on the tactical reality in front of you. I don't yell. Don't cry. Don't give her the reaction she's clearly expecting. How long? My voice comes out level, professional. Mark stands up. It's not, we didn't mean for this to happen. How long? He glances at Emily. She shrugs, doesn't help him. A few weeks. Maybe a month. I don't know. It just happened. Nothing just happens. I look at Emily now. You planned this. She smiles. Actually smiles. Not everything is a military operation, Angela. Get out. This is my house too, Mark says, finding some spine now that the secret's out. No. I walk to the closet, Pull out my deployment bag, start packing. Uniforms first, then civilian clothes, then the essentials I'll need for the next few days. It's yours. I'm leaving. Wait, Angela, we should talk about this. I zip the bag, hoist it onto my shoulder, turn to face them both. Mark looks genuinely distressed now, like he's realizing in real time what he's losing. Emily just looks triumphant. There's nothing to talk about. You made your choice. Live with it. I walk out the front door and don't look back. Don't slam it. Don't give them the satisfaction of theatrics. Just leave, clean and final, the way you execute an extraction under hostile conditions. I drive to base, check into temporary lodging, and sit on the edge of a bed that smells like industrial detergent and stale air conditioning. My phone buzzes once. Twice. I don't check it. Instead, I pull out my laptop and start updating my housing paperwork, my emergency contacts, the administrative debris of a life being dismantled. It's after 2,200 hours when I finally look at my messages. 3 from Mark, all variations of "I'm sorry" and "we need to talk." 1 from my mother, who somehow already knows, asking me to call her. And 1 from Emily, sent an hour ago. I open it. It's a wedding invitation. Custom designed, expensive looking. Mark and Emily's names in elegant script. Date, 6 weeks from now. Location, the country club where our parents celebrated their 30th anniversary. Below the details, handwritten in Emily's looping cursive, front row, center. No hard feelings, you were just his practice round. I stare at the screen for a long time. Feel something cold and precise settle in my chest. Not anger. Not heartbreak. Something cleaner than that. Purpose. I text back 1 word, attending. Then I add, +1. Her response comes immediately, can't wait. I close my phone and sit in the quiet, feeling the pieces of my old life fall away and something new take shape. I think about Emily's face when she smiled at me from my bed. Think about Mark's guilty defensiveness. Think about that handwritten note and every assumption baked into it. They think they won. They think I'm the humiliated one, the woman who got traded in for a newer model, the uptight military officer who couldn't keep her man happy. They have no idea what's coming. I open my laptop and start drafting an email to my supervisor, requesting leave for the wedding date. Then I pull up my contacts and scroll through names until I find the one I need. I don't make the call yet. First, I need to think. Need to plan. Need to approach this the way I approach every mission, with clear objectives, contingency plans, and absolute precision. Because Emily wanted me at that wedding. Wanted me in the front row where everyone could watch me sit through her victory. She chose that venue deliberately, knowing our entire family would be there. Knowing Mark's family would see me. Knowing the humiliation would be public and complete. She handed me an invitation to my own execution. What she doesn't understand is that I've spent my entire career learning how to turn tactical disadvantages into strategic wins. How to use an enemy's assumptions against them. How to wait for exactly the right moment to strike. 6 weeks. I have 6 weeks to prepare. I allow myself 1 moment of grief for the life I thought I was building, for the man I thought I knew, for the sister I kept protecting even when she didn't deserve it. 1 moment to feel the loss. Then I get to work. Emily and I were close once. Not in the warm, sisterly way people imagine, but in that default proximity of growing up 18 months apart. Same house, same schools, same parents trying their best to raise 2 daughters who couldn't have been more different if they'd tried. I was the planner. The one who color-coded her school notebooks and finished homework before dinner. I joined junior ROTC my freshman year of high school because I liked the structure, the clear progression, the way effort translated directly into advancement. My father, retired Army E6, understood. He'd show me his old uniforms, tell me stories about leading soldiers, about the satisfaction of a mission well executed. Emily thought it was all ridiculous. She wanted spontaneity, attention, the kind of life that looked good in photos. She'd skip class to hang out with seniors, date boys who drove too fast, come home past curfew smelling like cheap beer and expensive perfume. My parents would fight about how to handle her. My father wanted discipline. My mother wanted understanding. I became the buffer. The responsible one they didn't have to worry about. The one who'd cover for Emily when she snuck out, who'd help her write college essays she'd never turn in, who'd loan her money and never expect it back. "You're too serious," she'd tell me, watching me polish my JROTC shoes. "You're 17. You should be having fun." "I am having fun." "No, you're preparing for a life of taking orders from people who'll never appreciate you." She was wrong about that. When I commissioned as a second lieutenant at 22, fresh out of ROTC with a degree in aerospace engineering, I found exactly what I'd been looking for. Clear expectations. Measurable goals. A community that valued competence over charm. Emily went through 3 majors in 5 years, finally graduating with a degree in communications she never used. She moved back home. Got a job at a boutique. Quit after 6 months. Started working at a marketing agency. Quit after a year. Each time, I'd help her, editing her resume, practicing interview questions, offering advice she'd ignore. "You don't understand," she'd say. "You have everything figured out. It's easy for you." It wasn't easy. It was disciplined. There's a difference. I met Mark during my first lieutenant years, when I was 26 and finally settling into the rhythm of operational Air Force life. He was a defense contractor, former enlisted Army, someone who understood the military world but lived outside it. He made me laugh, admired my focus, told me he loved how capable I was, how nothing seemed to rattle me. "You're impressive," he said on our 3rd date, watching me parse a technical manual over dinner. "Most people can't compartmentalize like you do." "It's necessary in my line of work." "I know. It's attractive." We moved in together after a year. Got engaged after 2. Made plans for a small ceremony once I made captain. My parents approved. My father especially. He liked that Mark had served, understood the lifestyle, wouldn't complain about deployments or odd hours. Emily was happy for me. Or seemed to be. She helped me pick out my engagement ring, threw me a small party, acted like the supportive sister I'd always wanted her to be. But there were moments. Small comments that landed wrong. "He's really dating up, isn't he?" she said once, examining my ring. "What? You're an officer now." "He's just a contractor." "Must be nice for him." "We're partners." "Sure. But you're the catch." I dismissed it. Emily had always been competitive, always needed to measure herself against other people's success. I thought it was insecurity, not strategy. During my deployment to Qatar, we video called twice a week. Mark told me about work, about his family, about missing me. He seemed fine. Solid. Waiting for me to come home. What he didn't mention was that Emily had started coming over. To check on him, she'd say later. To keep him company. To help him not feel so alone. I was just being nice, she'd insist when I found out. He was lonely. "You were gone all the time." But Emily had never been nice without agenda. Everything she did served a purpose, usually one that benefited her. She learned early that tears got her out of trouble, that charm could replace confidence, that our parents would always give her another chance if she just seemed sorry enough. I'd enabled it. Every time I covered for her, every time I fixed her mistakes, every time I told our parents to go easy on her because she was still figuring things out. I'd taught her that consequences were optional, that she could take whatever she wanted and someone else would clean up the mess. Including, apparently, my fiancé. Now, sitting in temporary base lodging with that wedding invitation glowing on my phone screen, I finally understand the full scope of what I'd missed. This wasn't a sudden betrayal. It was years of pattern and enabling culminating in one inevitable moment. Emily had always compared herself to me. Had always needed to prove she was better, prettier, more fun, more desirable. And I'd given her the perfect opportunity by deploying, by being too serious, by building a life that required sacrifice and distance. She didn't steal Mark because she loved him. She stole him to prove she could. And that wedding invitation, that handwritten taunt, was her final victory lap. Her way of making sure I knew exactly how thoroughly I'd lost. Except she'd made one critical miscalculation. She'd assumed I'd show up broken, humiliated, ready to be displayed as proof of her superiority. She didn't account for the fact that I'd spent years learning how to win battles that looked unwinnable. I pick up my phone and start making calls. The next 4 weeks pass in disciplined increments. I wake at 0500, run 6 miles, shower, report for duty. Lead briefings. Evaluate junior officers. Review readiness reports. Stay focused on the mission in front of me while planning for the one ahead. My commander notices I'm quieter than usual but more efficient. Sharper. He doesn't pry, just approves my leave request without question. Take care of yourself, Trent. Yes, sir. I don't check social media. I block Mark's number after he sends the 5th apologetic text. I ignore Emily's increasingly frequent messages, first triumphant, then curious, then slightly anxious when I don't respond with the devastation she's expecting. My mother calls. Angela, sweetheart, we need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. Your sister, she didn't mean yes, she did. She's always meant it. You just never wanted to see it. Silence on the other end. Then, quietly, your father, and I hoped you wouldn't come to the wedding. I'm coming. It'll be difficult. I'll be fine. I hang up before she can argue. 2 weeks before the wedding, I'm prepping for a briefing when there's a knock on my office door. I look up to find Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Reyes standing in the doorway. 05, late 30s, one of the most respected officers on base. We've worked together on joint readiness assessments, shared flight line duties, exchanged professional courtesies. He's exactly the kind of officer everyone hopes to become, competent without arrogance, authoritative without being rigid. Captain Trent. Have a minute? Of course, sir. He closes the door, sits across from my desk. Studies me for a moment with the kind of attention that sees past surface composure. I'm not going to ask if you're okay, because that's a useless question. But I am going to observe that you've been carrying something heavy for the past few weeks. I consider deflecting. But there's something about his directness that invites honesty. Personal matter, sir. It won't affect my performance. I know it won't. You're one of the most reliable officers I work with. He leans back slightly. But reliable people often forget they're allowed to have support systems. I almost smile. Is this an official welfare check? No. This is one officer recognizing another officer's particular brand of stubbornness. I set down my pen. My sister is marrying my ex-fiancé in 2 weeks. She's invited me to sit front row so everyone can watch me absorb the humiliation. I've RSVP'd yes. He doesn't look surprised. Doesn't offer platitudes. Just nods slowly. That's tactical. It felt necessary. Going alone? I was planning to. Bad plan. He meets my eyes. You walk in there alone. You're giving them exactly what they want. Visible proof that you're isolated, defeated, replaced. You walk in with someone beside you, someone who commands respect. You change the entire dynamic. I hadn't considered that angle. Hadn't thought past showing up and maintaining composure. I'm not dating anyone. I know. I'm offering to accompany you. Dress uniform, full ribbons, 05 rank insignia very much visible. Not as a date. As a tactical asset. I stare at him, processing the unexpected offer. Why would you do that? Because I've watched you mentor junior officers with patience I don't possess. Because you cover weekend duties without complaint. Because you're the kind of officer who makes everyone around you better, and people like that deserve backup when they need it. He pauses. And because I'd very much like to see the expression on your sister's face when you walk in with an 05 who has more decorations than everyone in that room combined. Something loosens in my chest. Not gratitude exactly. Recognition. The feeling of being understood by someone who speaks the same operational language. That's generous, sir. It's strategic. There's a difference. He stands. Think about it. Let me know by end of week. He's at the door when I speak. Sir? I don't need to think about it. Yes. He nods once, crisp and efficient. Good. Send me the details. I'll be ready. After he leaves, I sit at my desk feeling something I haven't felt in weeks. Not quite hope, but the solid weight of a sound tactical plan falling into place. I text Emily that evening, looking forward to the wedding. My +1 is excited to meet everyone. She responds immediately, can't wait to meet him. I don't correct her assumption. Let her imagine some civilian boyfriend, someone safe and unimpressive. Let her build her expectations on faulty intelligence. It's what happens when you underestimate your opponent. The remaining 2 weeks pass in careful preparation. I buy a dress, elegant, understated, Air Force blue without being obvious about it. I have my hair cut, military precise. I make sure my bearing is parade ground perfect. Daniel and I meet once to coordinate details. He shows up in his dress uniform for my approval. The ribbons alone tell a story: deployments, commendations, leadership positions. The O5 rank insignia catches light like polished warning. "This'll do," I say dryly. "Just doing my duty, Captain." The night before the wedding, I sleep better than I have in weeks. Not because I'm not nervous, but because I know exactly what I'm walking into, exactly who's walking in with me, and exactly what message we're about to send. Emily wanted me at her wedding. She's about to get exactly what she asked for. The country club looks exactly like Emily would want it, expensive in a way that's meant to be noticed, decorated with white flowers and gold accents, full of people dressed for spectacle. I arrive at 13:30 hours, 30 minutes before the ceremony starts. Daniel meets me in the parking lot. His dress uniform is immaculate, ribbons precisely aligned, shoes polished to mirror finish. He looks like every promotion board's ideal of what an officer should be. "Ready?" he asks. Affirmative. We walk in together. The reaction is immediate. Heads turn. Conversations pause. People who were laughing go quiet, their eyes tracking Daniel's uniform, clocking his rank, processing what it means that I'm walking in beside someone who clearly outranks most military personnel they've ever encountered. Emily's at the entrance, greeting guests. She sees me first, and her smile is pure triumph. Then she sees Daniel. The smile freezes, recalculates, tries to hold. "Angela, you made it." She's wearing her bridesmaid's dress, not her wedding gown yet. Comes over with her arms open like we're still the kind of sisters who hug. I don't move. She drops her arms. Her eyes shift to Daniel, taking in every detail of his uniform. "And you must be Angela's Lieutenant Colonel Reyes," he says, tone perfectly professional. "Congratulations on your wedding." She actually falters. For the first time since this entire situation started, Emily looks uncertain. "Thank you. I didn't realize Angela was bringing. It's so nice that you could make it." "Wouldn't miss it," I say evenly. Mark appears from somewhere behind Emily. He looks good, tailored suit, hair styled, the groom costume fully assembled. When he sees me, relief crosses his face. When he sees Daniel, the relief evaporates. "Angela." "Hey." He extends his hand toward Daniel. "Mark Hendrick." The groom. Daniel shakes his hand with exactly the amount of pressure that communicates authority without aggression. "Lieutenant Colonel Reyes." Mark's eyes go to the insignia, the ribbons, back to my face. "I didn't know you were seeing anyone." "There's a lot you didn't know," I say. Emily loops her arm through Mark's, reclaiming territory. "Well, we're so glad you both could make it. Angela, you're in the front row. We saved you a seat. Center position. Perfect view." "I remember," I say. "Your invitation was very specific." Her smile tightens. "Only the best for family." Other guests are arriving now, creating a buffer of social obligation. Emily and Mark have to circulate, play their roles. Daniel and I move toward our assigned seats. The whispers start immediately. I catch fragments. "Lieutenant Colonel, how many ribbons is that? Didn't know her sister was Air Force. That's a high-ranking officer. We sit front row center, exactly where Emily wanted me." Daniel settles beside me, posture military straight but relaxed. Comfortable. Authoritative without trying. Mark's family sits across the aisle. His mother keeps glancing at Daniel, at his ribbons, at the O5 insignia. She leans over to whisper something to Mark's father. He looks, nods slowly, impressed. My parents arrive 10 minutes before the ceremony. My mother sees me, sees Daniel, and something complicated crosses her face: surprise, concern, something that might be hope. My father, retired Army E6, recognizes rank when he sees it. He gives Daniel a small nod of respect. Daniel returns it. They take their seats beside us. My father leans over. "Angela, you doing okay? Yes, sir. He glances at Daniel. Richard Trent. Army, retired. Daniel Reyes. Air Force. Pleasure to meet you, Sergeant. My father's expression softens slightly. Military recognizes military. He doesn't ask questions, just settles into his seat beside my mother. The music starts. Emily's bridesmaids process down the aisle in gold dresses, all smiles and performance. They're her friends from high school, from various jobs, from her rotating social circle. I recognize two of them. They recognize me and look away quickly. Then Emily appears. White dress, elaborate veil, carrying roses like a trophy. She walks down the aisle with our father, but her eyes are on me. Making sure I'm watching. Making sure everyone sees me watching. I hold her gaze. Don't look away. Don't give her satisfaction or pain, just steady acknowledgement. She falters for half a step, then recovers. Mark stands at the altar looking like a man who made a choice and is only now starting to question it. He watches Emily approach, and there's something in his face that isn't quite joy. More like resignation. Commitment to a decision already made. The officiant begins. Standard ceremony language about love and partnership and lifelong commitment. Emily and Mark exchange glances that are meant to look meaningful but land closer to performative. I sit completely still. Daniel beside me, equally motionless. Two officers at attention without technically being at attention. It creates a gravity, a weight that pulls focus even when we're not moving. I can feel people watching us as much as they're watching the ceremony. Trying to figure out who Daniel is, what it means that he's here, why an O5 would show up to support the woman who supposedly got traded in for a younger model. It's not adding up for them. The narrative Emily built, that I was the inadequate one, the practice round, the woman who couldn't keep her man, doesn't align with the visible evidence in front of them. The vows finish. The rings are exchanged. The officiant pronounces them married. Mark kisses Emily with the kind of enthusiasm that's meant to convince an audience. And then Emily does exactly what I knew she would do. She turns to face the crowd, arm linked through Mark's, and her eyes find mine. Hold them. In front of 300 people, with microphones still live, she says loudly enough for everyone to hear, she was just his practice round. The bridesmaids laugh on cue. A few guests chuckle uncomfortably. Most people look confused, not sure if this is a joke or something crueler. I don't move. Don't react. Just watch her with the same calm I bring to high-stakes briefings. Daniel stands. Daniel stands with the kind of precision that comes from years of command. Not rushed. Not dramatic. Just the smooth, inevitable motion of an officer taking control of a situation. The room goes quiet. Every eye shifts from Emily to him. He doesn't raise his voice. Doesn't need to. His tone carries clear, even, conversational. Funny, he says. She traded up. Silence swallows the room. Complete and absolute. Emily's smile freezes. Mark's face drains of color. The bridesmaids stop laughing mid-breath. Daniel remains standing, his uniform doing the work he doesn't need to explain. Oh, 5 rank insignia. Ribbons for deployments, meritorious service, combat support operations. Command presence that fills the space without effort. People are processing what they're seeing. A lieutenant colonel. Not some random +1. Not a rebound. An officer who outranks virtually everyone in military or civilian terms, standing beside me like a statement of fact. Emily recovers first, forcing her smile back. I didn't catch your name. Lieutenant Colonel Reyes, ma'am. Air Force. He doesn't sit down. Just stands there, polite and immovable. Beautiful ceremony. Congratulations. The ma'am lands like a tactical strike. Respectful on the surface. Devastatingly formal underneath. The kind of address you give to civilians who don't understand military hierarchy. Mark tries to recover. Well, we're glad you could make it. Let's all enjoy the reception. But the energy has shifted. Guests are whispering now, putting pieces together. An O3 and an O5. A captain and a lieutenant colonel. The woman they'd been told was inadequate walked in with someone who commands respect in every measurable way. Emily's mother-in-law, Mark's mother, leans toward her husband. Her voice carries just enough. That's a very high rank. Lieutenant Colonel. That's impressive. My father says nothing, but I see the slight satisfaction in his expression. He knows exactly what message was just sent. The ceremony transitions into reception. Emily and Mark disappear to take photos. Guests move toward cocktail hour. Daniel and I remain in our seats for a moment, letting the crowd clear. Well executed, I say quietly. Team effort, Captain. My mother approaches, hesitant. Angela. Could we talk for a moment? Daniel stands. I'll get us drinks. He nods at my father. Sergeant. Colonel. After Daniel leaves, my mother sits in his vacated seat. My father remains standing, arms crossed, observing the room with tactical awareness. You brought a lieutenant colonel, my mother says. I brought a colleague who offered to support me. Your sister didn't know that I have competent, impressive people in my life who value me? No. She assumed I'd show up alone and broken. She miscalculated. My father makes a sound that might be approval. Emily's been trying to compete with you since you commissioned. She finally thought she won. She didn't win, I say. She just chose a prize that wasn't worth having. My mother looks pained. That's still your sister. That's still the man you were going to marry. And there's still people who betrayed me deliberately, then invited me here to display that betrayal publicly. I meet her eyes. I showed up. I've been polite. I'll stay for an acceptable amount of time. But I'm not going to pretend this is a happy family moment. What your sister did was cruel, my father says. We should have intervened earlier. We didn't. That's on us. It's the closest thing to an apology I'll get from him. I nod. Daniel returns with 2 glasses of wine, hands me one. My parents take the hint and move away toward their own table. The reception unfolds like most weddings: dinner, toasts, dancing. Emily and Mark work the room, playing perfect couple for an audience that's increasingly less convinced. I see people glancing between them and us. See the math being done, the optics being evaluated. Emily's maid of honor gives a toast about true love finding its way that lands awkwardly when everyone knows the backstory. Mark's best man tries for humor and gets scattered, uncomfortable laughter. Daniel and I sit at our assigned table, eat our dinner, engage in polite conversation with the strangers around us. He's effortlessly charming without being overly warm. Professional, but not cold. Exactly the right balance. A few people work up courage to approach. Are you Air Force as well? Someone asks me. Yes, Captain. Oh, 3. And you're a lieutenant colonel? They direct this at Daniel. That's correct. How long have you two been? We work together, I say evenly. He's a friend and colleague. That answer circulates. Friend. Colleague. The implication being I have friends and colleagues of significant rank and capability who choose to support me. That I didn't fall apart when Mark left. That I have an entire professional life full of competent, impressive people. Emily watches from the head table, her smile getting tighter as the evening progresses. Around 2000 hours, she makes her rounds to our table. Mark trails behind her, looking progressively less comfortable. Angela, are you having fun? Her voice is bright and brittle. It's a lovely event. I'm so glad you came. I know it must be hard for you. It's not hard, I say. I'm fine. She blinks, recalculating. Of course. You're always fine. Always so controlled. Daniel sets down his wine glass. Control is an admirable trait. Emily turns her attention to him. You're a lieutenant colonel. That's very impressive. How did you and Angela meet? Through work. Captain Trent is an excellent officer. I'm sure she is. Emily's smile doesn't reach her eyes. She's very good at following rules. She's good at leading, Daniel corrects mildly. There's a difference. Mark shifts uncomfortably. We should probably keep circulating, of course. Emily loops her arm through his. Enjoy the rest of the evening. They move on. I watch them go, feeling nothing. No heartbreak. No anger. Just the clean satisfaction of watching someone's plan fail in real time. She's rattled, Daniel observes. Good. The reception continues. Emily and Mark cut the cake, have their first dance, fulfill all the ceremonial obligations. But the triumphant energy she'd planned for is gone. The room's attention keeps drifting back to us, to Daniel's uniform, to my composed presence, to the fact that nothing about this scenario matches the humiliation she'd orchestrated. We leave at 2100 hours. Polite goodbyes, congratulations to the couple, pleasant nods to other guests. Emily hugs me at the exit, stiff and perfunctory. Thanks for coming. Wouldn't have missed it. In the parking lot, Daniel walks me to my car. The evening air is cool, clean. I feel lighter than I have in weeks. Thank you, I say. That was strategically perfect. It was my pleasure, Captain. He pauses. For what it's worth, you handled that with exceptional grace. I had good backup. You would have been fine alone. But sometimes it's good not to be. I unlock my car, turn back to face him. Can I buy you dinner sometime? Actual dinner, not tactical operation. He smiles. I'd like that. I drive back to my apartment feeling something unfamiliar and good. Not revenge. Not even satisfaction. Just the quiet knowledge that I'd walked into a situation designed to break me and came out stronger. My phone buzzes around 2200 hours. Emily. You embarrass me in front of everyone. I delete the message without responding. Block her number. Then Mark's. Then anyone else connected to that chapter of my life. I don't need closure. I have something better. I have the rest of my life to build without them in it. The messages come in waves over the following weeks. I don't see them directly. I've blocked Emily and Mark, but my mother forwards a few, asking me to reconsider. Emily, she ruined my wedding. She brought that man just to make me look bad. Emily, everyone was talking about them instead of us. Emily, she's always had to be the center of attention. I read them with clinical detachment, the way you read after-action reports from failed missions. Every message confirms what I already knew. Emily genuinely believed she could hurt me publicly, and I'd simply absorb it. She didn't account for resistance. Didn't plan for me to have resources, allies, competence outside her understanding. Mark sends one message that slips through before I block his new number. I'm sorry for everything. I never wanted it to happen like this. I hope you're doing okay. For what it's worth, I think you're better off. I almost respond. Almost tell him that his apology means nothing, that never wanted it to happen like this, implies there was an acceptable version of this betrayal. Instead, I delete it. Add the number to my block list. Move on. My parents reach out more carefully. My mother sends texts every few days. How are you? We're worried about you. Your father and I would like to take you to dinner. I agree to dinner 3 weeks post-wedding. We meet at a steakhouse off base, neutral territory. My father orders bourbon. My mother sticks with wine. I get water. You look good, my father says. Focused. I'm fine. We know you are. My mother sets down her menu. We want to apologize. We should have seen what Emily was doing. Should have intervened earlier. You've always made excuses for her, I say. Since we were kids. I was the responsible one, so I didn't need attention. She was the difficult one, so she got all of it. My father nods slowly. You're right. We enabled her. Made her think consequences were optional. And now she's married to a man who cheated on me with her, and she thinks I'm the villain for not playing the humiliated ex-girlfriend role she wrote for me. She called us after the wedding, my mother says. Crying. Saying you'd ruined her day. That everyone was talking about you and your date instead of celebrating her. I showed up. I sat where she told me to sit. I stayed polite and composed while she publicly mocked me. The only thing I did was bring someone who made me look good by comparison. If that ruined her day, it's because her day was built on my humiliation. We told her that, my father says. She didn't want to hear it. My mother reaches across the table, touches my hand. We're proud of you. For how you handled it. For how you're handling everything. It's not enough. Not really. But it's something. Thank you. We eat dinner. Talk about safer things, my work, their retirement plans, extended family gossip that doesn't involve Emily or Mark. It's stilted at first, then easier. By the time dessert arrives, we're almost normal. That lieutenant colonel, my father says. Reyes. He's seeing you. We're getting dinner next week. Good man. I could tell by the way he carried himself. He's been kind. You deserve kind, my mother says. You've always given more than you got back. I don't disagree. Back at my apartment, I focus on routine. Work becomes my sanctuary: briefings, evaluations, flight line operations. I mentor junior officers with more patience than I knew I had. Help a second lieutenant navigate her first TDY. Review performance reports. Lead a readiness assessment that goes better than projected. My commander calls me into his office after one particularly successful evaluation. You've been outstanding these past few months, Trent. Sharper than usual. Thank you, sir. I'm putting you up for early promotion board consideration. You're tracking ahead of your peers. By the time you hit the board, you should be competitive for Major. Major. Oh, for the next step. The kind of promotion that comes around 33 on average, but sometimes earlier for strong performers. I appreciate that, sir. You've earned it. He pauses. Whatever you were dealing with, personal situation, it looks like you've got it handled. I do, sir. Good. Keep it up. I leave his office feeling something solid settle in my chest. Purpose. Direction. The clear progression I'd chosen this career for in the first place. Daniel and I have dinner at a quiet Italian place downtown. He's in civilian clothes, jeans, button-down shirt, looking younger and more relaxed without the uniform. How've you been? He asks after we order. Good. Focused. Commander's recommending me for early promotion board. That's excellent. Well deserved. What about you? Same. Work. More work. The occasional attempt at having a life. He smiles. This counts as an attempt. We talk about safer things: books, travel, the ongoing absurdity of military bureaucracy. He's easy to talk to. Doesn't push. Doesn't ask about Emily or Mark unless I bring them up. You know what's strange? I say over dessert. I don't miss him. I thought I would. Thought there'd be this grief period. But mostly I just feel relieved. Relieved? That I found out before the wedding. Before we'd legally bound ourselves together. Before I wasted more years on someone who saw me as optional. Daniel nods. You dodged significant incoming fire. Military metaphors. I appreciate that. I try to stay on brand. He pauses. For what it's worth, I think you're exceptional. Not in spite of what happened. Just, generally. It's the nicest thing anyone's said to me in months. I don't deflect or minimize. Just accept it. Thank you. We start seeing each other regularly after that. Not officially dating, we don't define it, don't make it complicated. Just dinner when we're both free. Coffee between shifts. Long conversations that range from tactical analyses to personal philosophies. He doesn't try to save me. Doesn't position himself as the hero of my recovery story. Just shows up consistently, treats me with respect, and gives me space to rebuild on my own terms. Emily stops trying to contact me after week 6. My mother reports that she and Mark are adjusting to married life, which I interpret as dealing with the reality that betrayal isn't actually a solid foundation for partnership. I don't ask for details. Don't need them. That part of my life is closed. 6 months after the wedding, I'm doing better than fine. I'm thriving. I've been recommended for promotion board. My performance reviews are outstanding. I'm leading a team of junior officers who actually respect me and seek my guidance. I've established clear boundaries with my family. And I'm seeing someone who treats me as an equal, not a convenience. One evening, Daniel and I are having dinner at his place when he says, "You know you never needed me at that wedding, right?" I know. You would have been fine alone. Composed. Dignified. Better than they deserved. Maybe. But it was helpful having backup. Tactical support. Exactly. He refills our wine glasses. I'm glad I could be there. But I want you to know you're the one who turned that situation around. Not me. Not the uniform. You. I believe him. Not because I need validation, but because it's true. I'd already decided not to let Emily's cruelty define me. Daniel's presence just amplified what I'd already chosen. Thank you, I say, for understanding that. Always. We don't talk about Emily or Mark after that. They fade into background noise, irrelevant to the life I'm actively building. I hear through family channels that they're struggling, Mark's contract work drying up, Emily's shopping habits creating debt, the glamorous life she'd envisioned turning mundane and strained. I feel nothing about it. Not satisfaction. Not pity. Nothing. They made their choices. I made mine. And mine led somewhere better. 8 months after the wedding, I'm sitting in a conference room preparing for a major briefing when my phone buzzes. Unknown number. I almost ignore it, but something makes me answer. Captain Trent. Angela. Emily's voice, smaller than I remember. Please don't hang up. I consider it. Almost do. But curiosity wins. What do you want? I need to apologize. For everything. For Mark. For the wedding. Her voice cracks. For how I treated you. I wait. Say nothing. Things aren't. We're not doing great. Mark and I. It's not what I thought it would be. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Really? She sounds genuinely curious, like she can't imagine I'd have any generosity left for her. I don't wish you harm, Emily. I just don't wish to be in your life. I know. I understand. I just needed you to know that I was wrong. About everything. You weren't the problem. I was. It's the closest thing to real accountability I've heard from her. But it doesn't change anything. I appreciate you saying that. Are you happy? With that guy from the wedding? I'm happy with my life. Yes. Good. That's good. She pauses. I really am sorry, Angela. I know. We sit in silence for a moment. Then she says, I won't bother you again. Take care of yourself, Emily. I hang up before she can respond. Stare at the phone for a long moment, processing how little that conversation affected me. No anger. No triumph. Just the neutral acknowledgement of someone's regret that no longer matters to my trajectory. Daniel notices later. You okay? You seem distracted. Emily called. Apologized. How do you feel about that? Nothing. I feel nothing. Is that bad? No. It means you've moved on. He pauses. Forgiveness isn't required. Indifference is a perfectly valid endpoint. He's right. I don't need to forgive Emily to be okay. I don't need closure from Mark to move forward. I just need to keep building the life I want, with people who actually value me. 3 months later, I attend my promotion board. The questions are challenging but fair. I present my performance record, my leadership philosophy, my vision for continued service. The board is impressed but non-committal. I wait. 2 weeks later, my commander calls me into his office. Congratulations, Major Trent. Your promotion was approved. Pinning ceremony is in 6 weeks. Major. Oh, 4. Right on schedule, exactly where I'd projected I'd be at 33. Daniel is the first person I tell. He takes me to dinner to celebrate, nice restaurant, good wine, the kind of evening that marks transitions. How does it feel? He asks. Right. Like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. You are. And you'll keep going. Oh, 5 by 40. Maybe 6 if you stay in long enough. That's the plan. We toast to the future. To continued service. To careers built on competence and character rather than drama and betrayal. My parents attend the pinning ceremony. My father pins one of my new rank insignia, his hands steady despite his age. My mother cries quietly, proud in that way parents are when their children exceed expectations. Daniel pins the other rank insignia, his movements precise and ceremonial. My entire flight attends junior officers I've mentored, peers I've worked alongside, commanders who've watched me grow into this role. Emily isn't there. Neither is Mark. I don't invite them. Don't think about them. They're not part of this moment. This belongs to me. To the years of discipline, sacrifice, and focus that got me here. To the life I built deliberately, brick by brick, choice by choice. After the ceremony, we gather for a small reception. My father pulls me aside. Your mother and I want you to know, we see what you've done. How you've handled everything. You've made us proud in ways we can't quite articulate. Thank you, Dad. Emily called us last week. Asked if we'd be attending your promotion. She sounded regretful. I hope she finds peace. But that's not my responsibility anymore. He nods. No, it's not. You've given enough. We rejoin the reception. I spend the next hour talking with fellow officers, accepting congratulations, feeling the solid weight of new rank insignia on my uniform. Daniel finds me near the end. Ready to go? Yeah. We drive to his place. Sit on his patio with bourbon, watching stars emerge over the Colorado plains. You know what the best part of all this is? I say, what? 6 months ago, Emily told a room full of people I was Mark's practice round. Now I'm a major. I'm on track for lieutenant colonel. I'm building a career I'm proud of. And she's, wherever she is, dealing with consequences of choosing spite over character. Justice doesn't always come quickly. But it comes. It did. Just not the way she expected. We sit in comfortable silence, the kind you can only share with someone who understands your particular brand of resilience. My phone buzzes. A text from my mother. Your father and I are so proud. You've always been stronger than we gave you credit for. Thank you for showing Emily and us what integrity looks like. I show it to Daniel. He reads it, nods. That's good. Not sufficient, maybe. But good. It's enough, I say. I don't need them to fully understand. I just need them to acknowledge they were wrong. And you need to keep moving forward. Always. 6 months later, Daniel and I make it official. Dating, committed, building something deliberate and grounded. We're both 04s now, tracking parallel careers, supporting each other through the strange demands of military life. Emily occasionally surfaces through family channels, holidays, obligatory updates. She and Mark are still together, still struggling, still dealing with the reality that relationships built on betrayal don't tend to thrive. I wish them well from a distance. Hope they figure it out. But their story is no longer connected to mine. My story is about competence, discipline, and the quiet satisfaction of building a life that reflects my values. It's about resilience without bitterness. About boundaries without cruelty. About moving forward without dragging the past along for weight. Emily wanted to humiliate me. Wanted to prove she could take what I had and make it better. Instead, she gave me the opportunity to discover I never needed Mark in the first place. Never needed her approval. Never needed validation from people who saw me as optional. I needed what I already had: purpose, competence, and the strength to stand in front of hostile fire without flinching. Power is quiet. Boundaries are loud. And justice, when it comes, needs no announcement. It just arrives, inevitable and complete, leaving you exactly where you're supposed to be. And I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. 15 years changes everything and nothing. I'm 44 now, Lieutenant Colonel Angela Trent, 05, exactly on the trajectory I'd mapped out decades ago when I first pinned on second lieutenant bars. The uniform fits differently, not just physically, but in the way it sits on my shoulders. Less like armor now. More like a second skin earned through years of leading, deciding, and occasionally getting things wrong in ways that taught me more than getting them right ever could. I'm stationed at Peterson Space Force Base now, running operations for a squadron that monitors satellite communications. It's technical work, strategic work, the kind of posting that prepares officers for 06 if they want it. I haven't decided yet if I do. Colonel sounds good. But so does retirement at 25 years with a pension and the freedom to figure out who Angela Trent is when she's not Captain or Major or Lieutenant Colonel Trent. Daniel made 06 2 years ago. Colonel Reyes, now stationed at the Pentagon, which means we're managing a long-distance relationship for the first time since we got married 8 years ago. It works because we're both disciplined, both understand the mission comes first, both secure enough not to need constant proximity to feel connected. We talk every night. Visit every few weeks. Make it work because the alternative, giving up what we've built, isn't acceptable to either of us. We never had kids. Talked about it a few times, decided the timing was never right, then eventually acknowledged that we were both okay with that decision. Our lives are full enough, his career, mine, the nieces and nephews that come with extended family, the junior officers we mentor who sometimes feel like the children we're preparing for a world we won't entirely see. I think about Emily rarely now. Maybe once every few months, usually when my mother mentions her in passing or when I see old photos during holiday visits. The sharp edges of that betrayal dulled years ago, worn smooth by time and distance, and the simple fact that I built a life so far removed from that moment that it feels like it happened to someone else. But today, Emily is suddenly relevant again. I'm in my office reviewing readiness reports when my phone rings. My mother. I answer on the second ring. Hi, Mom. Angela, sweetheart. Do you have a minute? Her voice has that particular quality that means she's about to ask for something complicated. I set down my pen. What's going on? It's about Emily. She and Mark are getting divorced. I wait for some feeling to surface. Nothing comes. Just mild curiosity and the faint echo of a satisfaction I'm mature enough now not to voice. I'm sorry to hear that. They've been separated for 6 months. It's gotten ugly. Custody battle over the kids, division of assets, a lot of blame being thrown around. She pauses. Emily's struggling. Financially, emotionally. She's asked if she could stay with us for a while, and your father and we're not sure what to do. Why are you telling me this? Because we wanted to make sure you'd be comfortable with it. If we say yes, we know there's history there. I lean back in my chair, looking out the window at the flight line where aircraft move in precise patterns, everyone knowing their role, executing their mission. It's taken me 15 years to fully internalize that Emily's chaos isn't my responsibility to manage. Mom, you don't need my permission to help your daughter. If you want to let her stay, that's between you and Dad. We know. But we also don't want to hurt you. Or make you feel like we're choosing her over you. I'm 44 years old. I'm a lieutenant colonel. I have a husband who's a full colonel, a career I'm proud of, and a life that doesn't include Emily in any meaningful way. Whatever you decide, it won't hurt me. She's quiet for a moment. You've become so strong. I've always been strong. I just stopped apologizing for it. Would you consider if Emily reached out to you? Would you be willing to talk to her? If she reached out, I'd consider it. But I'm not seeking that conversation. I don't need closure or reconciliation. I'm fine with the distance we have. I understand. My mother sounds relieved, like she'd expected more resistance. Thank you for being so gracious about this. After we hang up, I sit with the information. Emily's life imploded in the predictable way lives built on shaky foundations tend to. Mark, it turns out, wasn't just a cheater with me. He'd apparently repeated the pattern with someone from his office 2 years into the marriage. Emily stayed through that, tried to make it work, had 2 kids thinking that would stabilize things. It didn't. Now they're tearing each other apart in divorce court while their kids watch their foundation crumble. I feel bad for the kids. Don't feel much of anything about Emily or Mark. That evening, I called Daniel. He's in his Pentagon office, late night briefing prep, but he takes my call anyway. Hey, you okay? You sound pensive. Emily's getting divorced. Messy custody situation. My parents might let her move in with them. How do you feel about that? Nothing mostly. Maybe a little vindicated, but that feels petty. It's human. You're allowed petty. I thought I'd feel more. Satisfaction, maybe. Or pity. But it's just nothing. Like hearing about a stranger's divorce. That's healthy, Angela. That's what moving on actually looks like. He's right. Moving on isn't about forgiveness or closure or any of the neat narrative arcs people talk about. It's about building a life so complete that the past stops having gravitational pull. 3 weeks later, Emily calls me directly. I'm in the gym on base, mid-workout, when I see her name on my screen. I almost don't answer. But curiosity wins. I step outside into the Colorado afternoon. Hello, Emily. Hi. Her voice is different, older, tired, stripped of the performative brightness I remember. I know you probably don't want to hear from me. What do you need? I don't need anything. I wanted to talk. If you have time. If you're willing. I consider hanging up. Consider telling her we have nothing to discuss. Instead, I surprise myself. I have 20 minutes. Thank you. She sounds genuinely grateful. I heard you're a lieutenant colonel now. Mom mentioned it. That's incredible. It's the normal career progression. For you, maybe. For people who actually have their lives together. She laughs, but it's hollow. I'm getting divorced. You probably heard. I did. It's been awful. Mark cheated. Again. This time I couldn't pretend it was fixable. We have 2 kids, Angela. 8 and 10. And they're watching their parents destroy each other in court. I'm sorry you're going through that. Are you? Really? Yes. I'm not vindictive, Emily. I never was. What you did hurt me, but I moved past it. I built a good life. I don't need your suffering to validate my happiness. She's quiet for a long moment. I think about that wedding sometimes. What I said. What I did. I was so cruel. You were. I wanted you to hurt the way I'd been hurting my whole life. Watching you succeed at everything, be good at everything, have everyone's respect while I just floundered. So you took the one thing you thought would hurt me most. Yes. And it didn't even make me happy. The whole marriage, it was built on spite, not love. And now my kids are paying the price for my immaturity. I lean against the gym wall, processing this conversation I never expected to have. Emily, I can't absolve you. I'm not interested in litigating the past or offering you closure. But I can tell you that people make mistakes. You made a series of bad choices. You're dealing with consequences. That doesn't mean you can't rebuild. How did you do it? Rebuild after everything. I focused on what I could control. My work, my choices, my standards. I stopped trying to manage other people's chaos and started building my own peace. That sounds impossibly disciplined. It is. That's why it worked. She laughs again, more genuine this time. You were always the strong one. I resented that. I still do a little. But mostly I'm just impressed. And sorry. Really, genuinely sorry for what I did to you. I accept your apology. But, Emily, we're not going to be close. We're not going to rebuild some sisterly relationship. Too much has happened. Too much time has passed. I know. I just needed you to know that I understand now. What I took from you. What I cost us both. What you took, I replaced with something better. That's the part one don't think you understand. Mark wasn't the prize. Neither was winning some competition you invented. The prize was learning I didn't need either of you. We talk for a few more minutes. Surface pleasantries, updates about family, acknowledgement that maybe someday we'll be able to share a holiday meal without tension. But we both know that's optimistic. When we hang up, I feel lighter. Not because we reconciled. Because I confirmed what I already knew. I've outgrown the person who would have been destroyed by Emily's choices. I go back into the gym and finish my workout. That evening, I video called Daniel. Tell him about the conversation. She apologized. Really apologized, not the performative kind. How do you feel? Good, actually. Not because she apologized, but because I realized I didn't need it. It was nice to have, but it didn't change anything fundamental. That's growth, he says. Real growth. 6 months later, my parents host Thanksgiving. Emily's there with her kids, 2 boys who look like Mark but act like Emily, energetic and attention-seeking but fundamentally good. Daniel and I fly in for the weekend. It's awkward at first. Emily and I orbit each other carefully, polite but distant. The kids break the ice. They're fascinated by our uniforms, by military life, by the idea that their aunt is a lieutenant colonel. Do you fly planes? The older one asks. I manage communications satellites. Different kind of flying. That's so cool. Emily watches us interact with her children, something complicated on her face. Later, when we're alone in the kitchen, she says, "Thank you for being kind to them. They're good kids." They are. Despite everything Mark and I did wrong, they're turning out okay. That's because of you. Whatever mistakes you made in your marriage, you're showing up for them now. She tears up slightly. That means a lot. Coming from you. We're not close. We never will be. But we're no longer enemies. We're just 2 women who share DNA and a complicated past, navigating the adult reality that family is sometimes just people you're cordial with at holidays. Daniel and I leave Sunday evening. On the drive back to the airport, he asks, "How is it?" "Fine. Better than expected. Emily's trying. The kids are sweet. My parents are relieved we can be in the same room without drama. And you?" "I'm good. Really good." I look out the window at the Colorado landscape rolling past. You know what's strange? I spent so many years being angry at her, then indifferent to her, and now I just feel neutral. Like she's a person who made mistakes, learned from them, and is trying to do better. That's all any of us can do. Very mature of you, Lieutenant Colonel. I'm 44. I'd better be mature by now. He laughs. We drive in comfortable silence. 2 years later, I'm up for 06 consideration. Full colonel. The rank I wasn't sure I wanted. My commander recommends me enthusiastically. My performance record speaks for itself. I interview with the board, answer their questions about leadership philosophy and strategic vision, and wait. The promotion comes through 3 months later. Colonel Angela Trent. 06. 46 years old, tracking exactly where I'd projected myself to be if I stayed the course. The pinning ceremony is larger this time. Daniel pins one insignia, he's still 06, which means we're finally the same rank after years of him outranking me. My commander pins the other. My parents attend. My entire squadron shows up. Emily sends a card. Congratulations, it says. I'm proud of you. Always have been, even when I was too immature to show it properly. Her handwriting, her words, sincere as far as I can tell. I appreciate the gesture. Don't frame it. But I appreciate it. At the reception afterward, my father pulls me aside. He's 70 now, retired Army E6, proud in the bone-deep way career military fathers are when their children exceed their rank. Colonel, he says, testing the word. My daughter, the colonel. Strange, isn't it? No. It's exactly right. You earned every bit of this. We stand together, watching guests mingle, officers across generations sharing war stories and shop talk. Daniel catches my eye from across the room, raises his glass. I raise mine back. This is what victory looks like. Not Emily's marriage imploding. Not Mark dealing with his own consequences. Not revenge or vindication or any of the dramatic payback I might have wanted 15 years ago. Victory is building a life so solid that the past becomes irrelevant. It's earning rank through competence. It's maintaining relationships through discipline. It's showing up consistently, doing the work, and letting results speak louder than grievances. Emily was wrong about so many things. But she was especially wrong when she called me Mark's practice round. I wasn't practice for anything. I was always the main event. I just needed the right audience to see it. And now, standing in this room full of officers who respect me, beside a husband who chose me deliberately, wearing eagles that represent 24 years of service and sacrifice, I finally understand what power actually looks like. It's not loud. It's not performative. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's just showing up, doing the work, and building something that lasts. That's the kind of power Emily never understood. And by the time I figured it out, I'd already won. And that's how one wedding invitation turned into the moment I finally took my life back. I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I just showed up with the strength they never expected. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever had someone try to humiliate you in public? Did you stay silent, or did you stand your ground? And do you believe family betrayal cuts deeper than romantic betrayal? Drop your story in the comments. I read every one. If you want more true stories about boundaries, self-respect, and quiet revenge, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs it.